Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about some advanced techniques to help you break through a plateau. A lot of people, when they're weight training, seem to just hit a brick wall and they can't really seem to get bigger or get stronger. So hopefully the techniques we talk about today can help you get through that situation. So let's jump right into it. Progressive overload is one of the most important things in terms of getting stronger and getting bigger. If you aren't familiar with progressive overload, it's essentially the concept that in order for your muscle to grow, you have to force it to adapt to a stimulus that it's not used to. You can do that in a bunch of ways. Traditionally speaking, I would say that people usually do that by increasing the amount of weight they're doing or by increasing the number of reps. But what do we do when those two things alone aren't working? Sometimes, especially the more advanced you become, you're going to have to incorporate new training techniques in along with those other more traditional methods in order to continue advancing. So the first one I want to talk about is putting an emphasis on the lowering of the weight, otherwise known as the eccentric contraction, or even doing some lifts where the whole goal is just to lower a heavy weight and then the spotter will assist in lifting the weight off of you. An example of this would be things like negative curls or negative bench press. During these lifts, you put a heavy but manageable weight on the bar, then go very, very slow on the way down. Once you hit the bottom, the spotter is going to do a lot of the work getting the weight back up, and then you start slowly lowering it again, and you repeat that for the whole set. It might seem counterintuitive to have assistance on the concentric when you're trying to overload, but by doing the eccentric part of the lift very slowly and using heavier weight than you normally could handle, you're putting a lot of tension on the muscle, which is really good for hypertrophy. I will warn you though that the eccentric part of the exercise is generally the part that makes you the most sore, so by doing negatives, you're going to be feeling it the next day. You can also emphasize the eccentric by adding some tempo to your workouts. Counting either in your head or out loud on the way down to pace the eccentric and then going quickly on the way up can be a good way to emphasize the lowering of the weight without necessarily needing a spotter to do any of the work, and is a good way to increase time under tension. This is a good practice even when not trying to incorporate any advanced techniques, because pacing your training and controlling the downward motion just as much as the upward motion is important to making progress. The next technique we're going to cover is partial repetitions, and no, I'm not saying to be a half repper. Full range of motion is very important for muscle growth because when you cut back on range of motion even a little bit, you can seriously reduce the amount of mechanical work that your muscles are doing. Half reps aren't always bad though, if you're using them as a way to crank out a few more reps than you normally could. Take these leg extensions for example. Once you reach the point where you might not be able to do another good rep, you can cut back on the range of motion and crank out a few more partial reps to overload the muscle. Pause reps are a technique where you incorporate a brief pause at some point in the rep, normally as a way to remove the assistance of momentum or to hold the position where the muscle is being activated the most. On a bench press, for example, pause reps can occur at the bottom of the rep when the pecs are in the most disadvantageous position and removes the assistance that the tap on the chest normally gives you in getting the weight moving upward. Pause reps are usually quite a bit harder than normal reps and will require you to use a lighter weight, but can also force more activation of the pecs or whatever muscle is being targeted. And the final technique we're going to look at today is the drop set. During a drop set, you might start off at or just below the amount of weight that we'd normally do for your set rep range. Then, after completing the set and being near failure, you're going to immediately take off some weight and then do the set again. If you'd like to and are up for it, you can take off even more weight and then do the set even a third or a fourth time. There's a lot of freedom to design drop sets pretty much however you want to do them, but the goal is to push yourself near your limit and then just push yourself even further by dropping the weight down a bit. Focusing on the eccentric, partial repetitions, pause reps, and drop sets can all be a great way to achieve more progressive overload and can help you to push past any plateau that you might be stuck in. Just remember that these are advanced techniques, so you can use them to break through a plateau, but don't use them to overtrain or injure yourself. Also, make sure to always have a spotter while doing these. But that's going to do it for today, guys, so go ahead and give my video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe to my channel, and make sure notifications are turned on. If you have any fitness-related questions, leave them in the comments section, and I'll maybe make a video on it. Thanks!